Hey everyone, today we're going to be opening and testing these two vintage cans of Stop and Shop vegetables. We have sliced beets and sweet peas. Let's get a quick look over at both of these cans. First one is the beets, and it has Stop and Shop's old logo with a red light, green light. Some locations are actually going back to that old logo again. The container has the nutrition facts, which places this in the early 90s. And it has a barcode that they have crossed out because it looks like this was maybe on a discount shelf, and that would explain why it's dented. Just a small little dent. They wrote 30 cents under there. That must have been the discounted price. Normal price is 50 cents. Or 2 for $1. It's got surface rust, which is expected because it sat for 30 years in somebody's basement. And the other one must have been purchased at the same time. It doesn't have the discount price. So this one was probably purchased. Probably 50 cents, because that right there doesn't make any sense to me at all. 2 for $10, that's just some random tag. That can't be right. But the way they're rusted, they were obviously kept together for a long time. Alright, we're going to get to opening these things up. Bottom of this one's pretty bad, the rust. But you see the bottom's shiny. It was protected because it was sitting on a shelf. And it doesn't look like it's new enough to have an expiration date. I don't see it on there. I do see a 6/30/192, which is possible. That would mean it was produced in 1989. But I think that's just some random codes. Most of the stuff back then, you can't really find a definitive expiration date on it. And if you're noticing my hands are red, that's because I just had to wash my hands off outside. And it's like freezing out. First up, the beets. Let's get them open. Had a little trouble getting around that dent. Oh look, they look pretty good. Although from sitting a while, you can see like some oil residue building up there. Nope, they're not good. You see on the top right there, that orange? That is rust right there. See, as I shake it, it's getting loosened up into the food. So I bet we're going to have a really high iron content. Beets are already rich in iron, and this is just going to make it even worse when we do the test. The smell test is perfect. They smell as they should. All right, let's set that off to the side and open up the second one. Rust chips are falling everywhere. Oh, look at this. That definitely was leaking moisture. Most of the juice is gone, and they're kind of like dissolving. You see how soft those are? But there's still enough liquid. I'm confident we can get a pretty good test. And they also do smell good, but you can also see, you don't see it actually leaching in. Like the other one has definitely contaminated. This one doesn't look like that, though. Yeah, it started right here. You can see. And look at the powder that just came off the surface when I was cutting it open. And we're going to do our typical heavy metals test. Lay this down. And we're going to be using these test strips right here. Not going to bother with any other brand like I've used before. This one is the most accurate one by far. I've even tested it to the dripper bottles. Most people don't use the test tube ones, but I've gone back and forth. They have exactly the same test. So right here, stick it down inside for a second, bring it back up, and you see how it's miscolored right there? That's not going to affect our result. I'm just going to go right here with my hand. I just squeezed out as much as I can, and that will give us an accurate result because for the most part it's clean. You see how they're a little bit pink? A lot of those right there should remain white, but obviously it's not supposed to turn orange. Something's up right there. And we'll do the other one, which has clear juice. Get that down inside. I didn't get the top two right there, but these tests towards the bottom aren't the important heavy metal. Those are at the top. And it's been enough time. The first one is ready to check because these are almost instant. Okay, what do we got? Alkalinity, very low. I'd say maybe 20. pH is extremely low there. Actually, the pH is one of the ones that could have been screwed up by the color in there. I would place that around 6, even though it's showing red, which our scale doesn't have. But that's because orange and red are kind of close. So that's not totally accurate. The hardness is pretty high. This color wouldn't have changed that result much. Hardness is around 100. Iron, surprisingly, is very low. And that color right here would actually make it worse. It's showing on here only about 1 part per million. Usually a can, I would expect a lot more. But the rust isn't that bad, I'd say. Because you can tell it's not like leaching in there. I think me disturbing the can may have released what you were seeing earlier. There's no copper. There's a possibility of very low lead because they used lead for sealing cans up until the 90s where they banned it. That's a possibility. There might be a little bit of lead or just the weird color of this messing with it. There's no mercury, there's no fluoride, and nothing else on this scale is important. There's none of it anyways. Now the other one will be totally accurate because the juice in this one doesn't have any weird tint to it. So I'd say there's nothing really bad in this one. But let's take a look at that. Alkalinity is around 40. pH is probably around 6. Hardness, probably around 200. Iron, probably around 5 parts per million. There's no copper. Lead is a possibility in here. Yeah, there is some lead. It's maybe around 15 parts per billion. And fluoride, none. No mercury, and there's nothing else in here on any of the other scales that would cause this to be dangerous. So this one here looks pretty safe. Might be a little bit of lead in it. This one here definitely has lead, but I'm not finding anything like iron in it. So I'd say in a survival situation, this one right here would definitely benefit you. This one right here is kind of messed up. You see how it like kind of dissolved? That one's kind of gross, but this one here held up pretty well. And like anything like this, when you have this weird color, it does mess with the color codes. Depending which color they're supposed to be. The ones that are shades of red and pink, yeah, that kind of messes it up. But ones that are shades of blue, I can tell the difference in them. They work perfectly for that one, though. Let's go ahead and dump them out. Look at that. It looks like fruit punch. Look at those nice ribs on that can. It's got some pretty thick ribs. Still smells good. Now, what do we got here? All right, there's a little bit of rot damage over the years starting to form. So I bet if we open this up 20 years further down the road, it would have been really fallen apart. But overall, not too bad. And the next one. Actually, the ones towards the bottom don't look too bad, because actually, these ones on here, because we opened the can upside down, those look normal. So the bottom looks like maybe that's all sediment and stuff. That's why it looks soft. They are still softer than what you'd get brand new. Now, does that rub off? Yeah, that rubs off. That was added by the can when I cut it. So it looks like no contaminants got into this. But where did the lead come from? Probably that seal right there. Assuming this can is from 89, 91, or 92. Because the early 90s is when they banned the use of lead. But now we have like the weird... Yeah, it's mixing in. Now that I've been out of the room for a while, I just came back in here to clean this up, and I can actually smell some iron in the air. Well, the containers from here, I'm just going to leave them here so they can dry, and then I'm going to put them in my collection. It's better not to wash those ones out, because it might damage the label. I'm just going to let them dry up. So, hope this video was interesting. Thanks for watching.